during their closing statements if they wish to make any final comments relating to the pretrial motion to dismiss, that they could do so. They're not required to do so, but they are permitted to do so in their closing statement if they wish. Mr. Reardon, would you like to go first?
Thank you. And considering the admission we had at the beginning, I will keep it short. In this instance, Detective Gomez was charged with one violation. Violation of core value 6.00 restraint, which states you use the minimum force and authority necessary to accomplish a proper police purpose. You demonstrate self-discipline even when no one is listening or watching. Referencing guiding principle 6.01, police members shall exercise restraint in the use of force and act in proportion to the seriousness of the offense and the legitimate law enforcement objective to be achieved. In this particular case, we've all seen the videotape. The first videotape shows specifically that Officer Gomez, after striking Mr. Love, knocking him to the chair, continued on. He put his forearm across Mr. Love's throat, taking his right hand, grasping it, and putting more pressure on it. At no time did he give Mr. Love a chance to comply with any order. In fact, we see that choke hold goes on for 9 seconds while Mr. Love has his hand to his side, stating, "Why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me?" Lieutenant McGillis told us, you have to give a suspect a chance to comply. Mr. Gomez's expert, Robert Willis, said you have to give a suspect a chance to comply. Detective Gomez did not. In fact, he choked the man where you could hear him rasping. He choked the man to the point where Mr. Love had to react. After having his hands out, asking, "Why did you hit me?" he finally pulled him in and pushed Mr. Gomez off of him. He did so because he was getting choked for 9 seconds. After Mr. Love pushed off Detective Gomez went in and struck him numerous times. In one point, you see the video, Detective Gomez has Mr. Love's head, and he is aiming a punch until he fights the right opportunity and hits him. Even Mr. Willis said, you can't do multiple strikes like that. That is excessive force. Mr. Willis also said having an arm across somebody's throat when they're trying to give up is excessive force. Their expert testified that. Not only did Detective Gomez give numerous strikes to Mr. Love, but while Mr. Love had his head covered with his hands, he kneed him twice. Again, he did not give Mr. Love a chance to comply. He beat him. He continuously beat him. He did not look for a chance to disengage. He did not look for a chance to allow the suspect to comply with his orders. In fact, he said, "I didn't see his hands. I didn't hear him say, 'Stop beating me.' I didn't know he was handcuffed to the wall. I didn't know the door was open." He was just focused on striking this individual. What does the second video show us? Well, Lieutenant McGill told us Detective Gomez lacked restraint in using force by going in there. He interjected himself into this fracas. He was the cause of Mr. Love's anger, even by Detective Gomez's own testimony. He's standing outside the door after striking this man several times, kneeing him twice, the guy's yelling at him, "Take my handcuffs off, let's fight." Mr. Love is chained to a wall. He's not going anywhere, even per Detective Gomez's testimony. Why did he insert himself in there? Why did he subject other detectives to the possibility of injury because this man was angry with Detective Gomez? He failed to exercise restraint in going in there. And then while he was in there, he put his hands in Mr. Love's eyes. Both Mr. Willis and Lieutenant McGillis said, "You cup the head. You don't splay the fingers." And you don't see just the pinky splay. His whole hand is open wide. Mr. Willis said, Detective Gomez only got his finger close to Mr. Love's eye for a second, but did testify that if it's in his eyes for more than a few seconds, that's intentional, it's excessive, and unjustified. You've seen the tape. He has his hands in his eyes for more than a second. In fact, he carries his head down with his hands in his eyes and back up. 4 or 5 seconds, he intentionally has his fingers in Mr. Love's eyes, who is screaming because he has his fingers in his eyes. Again, their own expert says, if you have fingers in the eye for more than a few seconds, it's intentional, excessive, and unjustified. You've seen the tape. I promised I wouldn't play it again, and I'm not going to. But both of these experts agree that you cannot do what Detective Gomez did. The only difference is that Mr. Willis didn't see the hands out, didn't see the head covered, and didn't see a finger in the eye. That's the difference in their testimony. You've seen the videotape. You know that's not true. Again, I said I'd be short, but I think you have to uphold the discharge. This is absolutely failure to exercise restraint.